Technology defines how we can communicate, how we can think, what is possible in the world and what is not possible, and hierarchies, who has access to what. Some of the reasons why I want to make art about this subject and look very closely at some of the very key players in this field is because it has a huge impact on the way the world is heading and on every person's life. There are different ways one can think about hacking and think about the role of hacking and think about what the motivations of various hackers are. What became known as a hack or hacking in general was something that was kind of working around potentially illegally and breaking into computer systems and kind of like working against the system. But as kind of technology gets more and more mainstreamed and technology companies get more powerful, they also draw their inspirations from the history of hacking. So the hacker not only is a kind of a rogue, but also a hero. Within Hong Kong, the Hotel Myra is something of a kind of a monument or a pinnacle, a site of extreme relevance to the history of hacking, but also the history of data and the history of the growth of tech power. Because it was the hotel where Edward Snowden stayed, where he gave all of the leaks that he took from his job as a contractor at the NSA to journalists. He handed over those documents there in a suite at the Mira Hotel. And so I think for people like me and many, many other people, this hotel is sort of some kind of place of significance because it's where all these issues come together. I mean, it's definitely one of the most notorious hacks or leaks in the history of technology, and also a kind of a moment in the changing of the perception of what technology is doing, I think, in the public's eyes.
From the beginning, Simon Denny has sought to create a connection to technology. But what makes his work truly unique is that he establishes a genuine relationship with different technological phenomena. It does not merely remain a theme. He initiates dialogues, including those with men who defend it in all the domains. In this sense, his art creates an authentic reality, a world of his own.
I've made a number of sculptures which look to frame a history of hacking. And the first moment in hacking that is kind of monumentalized in these sculptures is really where the word was coined. And that was within MIT in the 1950s, a group of engineers that were working on programming some of the original mainframe computers, room-sized computers, also had a kind of hobby group for trains. And whenever they would make an adaptation, an unusual workaround in building their train sets, they would kind of call it a hack. And so this terminology that was developed as a kind of a hobbyist thing within that community then kind of migrated to their programming practices. Another moment in this kind of history of hacking is focusing on a moment when a very well-known hacker group called Loft in the United States approached the US Senate to expose some of the weaknesses of the government's technology, basically, their networks, and showed how they were actually quite vulnerable to attacks. That is the moment where the hack from the outside that is kind of extra institutional enters official organizations and therefore strengthening the incumbent system. So it was a moment of kind of legitimization, and that's how it's kind of framed within my narrative that I tell in the sculptures. The principles that hackers use to kind of do what they do are also seen to be helpful for innovation in technology in a kind of mainstream kind of a way. Hackers are kind of valorized in the context of huge companies like Facebook and Google, and even in government organizations like the NSA. These two sculptures are two looks at one building, which is the GCHQ, the British Intelligence Agency's headquarters. It's a kind of a round building, and some of the kind of principles of design that were applied to the interior of that building, but also the kind of general form of it, come from a sort of a value system that can be seen to be derived from hacking. So, radical flexibility, space that can be kind of rearranged and kind of used in lots of different ways by different people. And the image of a circle as a symbol of a complete system. What was a sort of an illegal, roguelike, rebel spirit has now become very useful for the development and the innovation within mainstream and powerful global tech companies. So hacking space and hacking community is then enacted in one of the most powerful tech organizations on the planet.
The idea was to see how work is organized in public and private companies, and how this work organization has been modified by technological developments. So he examines the evolution of work in the 21st century by applying the notion of holacracy. Holacracy as a flat organizational structure, without the cliches of vertical hierarchy, of the so-called top-down.
There was a moment in the development of software where some became what's known as proprietary software, which was owned by big corporations and kind of closed, and another direction which went into open source, which has become something in the hacking community that was very, very important. And one sculpture that we made to kind of look at that moment was a kind of a cluster of mascots as kind of soft toys or plush toys of the different kind of animals that represent some of the open source communities. We have the Linux penguin and the little kind of bull of the GNU and lots of other kind of characters that then come to symbolize these open source projects. The visual language of the sculptures that I've made in this show is trying to reflect the language that is native to the space that I'm trying to make a show about. So actually companies and hackers, they kind of, particularly tech companies, have this tone of a playfulness in their management strategies. And they often have a sort of things that represent sort of rebellious spirit, also kind of graffiti aesthetics.
Simon Denny decided to create an exhibition that looked at the history of hacking on one side, and on the other side, he looked at managerial models and how these two actually influenced each other or used resources from each other. Building on from this research and investigation that the artist has done, which are ideas that have been translated into sculptures that take the shape of a server rack, which is today known as his signature style, we decided for this exhibition in Hong Kong called Hackspace, we decided to bring into dialogue works by Simon Denny with works by 11 artists based in China.
We were very pleased by the invitation of Adrian Cheng, the founder of the new Chinese foundation K11, who absolutely insisted that we seek out several artists to invite and that we develop the exhibition in collaboration with Simon Denny. So we both found ourselves in an absolutely unique position of roaming through China together as artists and not as curators. We went to Shanghai, to Beijing, to Hong Kong as well, and we visited a great number of studios. It's in this sense that it has turned into a sort of hybrid, something between a personal and a group show.
So we kind of talked to artists about how they felt about this idea of hacking kind of going mainstream. It was kind of a process of learning, bringing these artists together, seeing what kind of works explored some of these themes which made sense in the context of our ideas of the exhibition.
對於我理解呢個展覽嘅概念呢，對於我個人嚟講，我覺得hack 即係黑客呢個概念，其實作為好多中國藝術家而家處理嘅好多題材，佢唔一定係通向未來，但係從另外一個方面呢，佢為保存中國今日嘅一啲作為一個另類嘅 archive， 另類一個檔案。 因為咧，我係生長喺中國嘅廣州啦，南方城市啦。咁喺我成長嗰階段咧，剛好係中國城市化開始，同埋甚至係到後尾我開始做當代藝術嘅時候，都係一個全球化影響到中國發生巨大變化咁一個過程。 咁所以我好多創作咧同城市有關啦。揀咗嘅作品係我喺舊年喺北京拍攝一個地區，佢將會變成一個商業空間，所以佢拆除咗原來嘅一啲舊有嘅城中村嘅空間。咁點解我會延續呢個城市嘅興趣？係因為而家我哋身處呢個城市化嘅變化中。 我哋認為可能城市化過程比我哋想象中會更耐、更持續。
因为我在中国的3个城市——北京、上海和杭州都生活过，然后这3个城市也是中国发展最迅速的3个城市。在这个三个城市的生活的这种体验，让我对于城市的这个现状，包括城市的记忆和空间的感知。在我的画里面，我是把就是这个城市的雕塑覆盖在这个城市的建筑之上。 让它们相互融合在一起。换一个角度来说，你也可以是说，这个雕塑和建筑相互侵入了。
So it is about showing the dialogue between technology and production, but for us within the context of this exhibition, it was much more this idea of the humane aspect and trying to go from technology as a perhaps alienating device to technology in terms of the individuality, the human, the labor conditions in which it can put people through. So it is about also this more human aspect. One of the artists in the exhibitions, for instance, is Li Liao. His work is called Consumption, and what Li Liao decided to do is impose on himself an internship at Foxconn. Foxconn is a company next to Shenzhen that produces Apple products, but it has also surfaced on the news a number of times for the difficult working conditions that it puts its employees on and a number of suicides. He decided to work there for as long as it was needed for him to get an iPad out of his salary. His work consists of his daily journey of going to work at Foxconn. This is one of the ways in which we decided to also approach this idea of how technology has an impact in our life.
我是其实住在上海的艺术家，然后我做媒体艺术或者叫新媒体艺术已经差不多有10年了。我的大部分的工作都是跟互联网和互联网带来的对人类社会的这个冲击有关系的这些现象出现的这样的作品。就是说在这次展览里面展了2件跨度其实蛮大的作品，一件作品叫《穷人采矿》。它是一件我2011年讨论比特币的虚假性的一件装置，它是一件声音装置。说比特币是运用一个计算机的运算能力而成立的一套电子货币的系统，但是这件系统刚刚出现的时候，它有特别强的一种欺骗性。原因是，在它出现的时候，其实互联网呈现的是一种特别公平、跟非常完整、特别的乌托邦的这种属性。但是这套货币其实是非常的和现实捆绑在一起的。所以我的这件作品主要是提出它在这个上面的它的不真实性。另外一件是叫做新单位，新单位其实是，我真实在上海做了一个4年的公司，它是关于联合办公、关于社会创新的一间失败的公司。做新单位的时候是09年，09年的时候，我们其实真的有一个很大的梦想，就觉得在中国真的这个时刻可以做一件不一样的事儿。其实很多人认定亚洲人甚至是中国人，就是说在协作上面大家是天生的缺失的。但我觉得年轻的一代是有可能完成一种新的协作的工作。我觉得说未来可能会变得更好，原因是未来是在我们的手上，我们代表的是新的一代人。就是这也是我一直的一个观点，就是我们很难战胜旧的一代人，但是当我们成为可以拥有或者说可以更多的带来价值观的时候，我们会改变这些的。
The significance of Hong Kong as a place for this exhibition also kind of relates to this idea of legitimacy and illegitimacy. Hong Hong Kong, it's a special economic zone, obviously one of the kind of oldest in the world, and very near to Shenzhen, where the idea of hacking and the idea of kind of fake products and kind of doing unconventional things is something that is really central to the way that factory ecosystem works. Shanzai, as a fake version, has also kind of shifted in a similar way to the term of hacking from something that's been like really negative and illegitimate to something that can be interpreted as a kind of innovative space.
我係好中意山寨呢個概念，因為我哋從細就係一個山寨，從 copy 文化就本身其實就係一個盜竊或者係非法獲得信息，或者係非法獲得一啲 copyright 嘅一個咁嘅方式。咁喺另外一個角度 ，copy 或者係呢種概念，其實俾咗好多人一個廉價去使用呢個未來或者消費一啲新科技產品一個咁嘅可能性。好多當代藝術品入邊複製或者係扭曲，或者係變形，或者係再處理，其實已經係當代藝術一個好習慣嘅一個方式同埋手法。
The notion of Shanzai came about at the time when many Chinese companies illegally copied certain Western technological products. But a very interesting phenomenon has come out of this, because, as Gilles Deleuze explains, repetition and variety often go hand in hand. These same companies that in the beginning had copied the West began to create very important inventions and have become vital protagonists in the world of technology.
Ambivalence in the work is something about how I feel about the subject matter. I find these things very, very interesting and sometimes surprising, but I also find them kind of, at times, challenging and scary as well. I think recently we've come to know, through things like Brexit in the UK and the rise of nationalism and wide-spanning polemic opinions across political fields, how much of a role things like Facebook and Google, who kind of curate our content and feed us content that we want to read ourselves based on our own identities back to us, creates a sort of a kind of a mythic space where we're only listening to our own voices. And that is really like a direct result of the way that social media and the internet has gone in the last 10 years. And so I think to keep some of both of that feeling, to keep a kind of seductiveness to the objects, which are trying to, I guess, communicate some of the excitement I feel about this world and these practices, but also to be to have a kind of a contrast with some of the very serious content that is behind it, and some of the very serious roles that both commercial tech companies and governmental tech companies play in our world today. These people are some of the most powerful people in the world, and they have access to some of the most big stores of data and big stores of knowledge that then turns into power. I think that's both inspiring and kind of scary. So you get a sort of a sublime, hopefully, but a kind of a playful sublime, and that's what I'm hoping for.